Hey friends, how you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Win at life. Today we're studying Daf Samach Talad, Daf 64 of Masech Ksubis. Friends, Daf 64 is not messing around. There's some stuff here, there's a few things here that, one of them I feel like you have to go slow. The other one, I feel like you can go slow, but it doesn't make it any less complicated. So we'll see. Maybe we'll go slow, maybe we'll go fast. I don't know. But anyways, alright. We're going to start in Daf Samach Gimel with base. Oy, vavoy. Not a yawn. Yisrael, that wasn't a yawn. That was more of a krechts. Alright. So we're going to start in Daf Samach Gimel with base. 5 lines from the bottom. Kalsi du Rav Zvid Imrida. Rav Zvid's daughter-in-law rebelled. Have a tfisa chadshira, and she chapped a rein with her. I don't know, some kind of clothing. She chapped it with her. Yosef Amemar Mazutra Vavashis. Now Amemar, Mazutra, and Ravashi were sitting. Yosef Avgamda Gabayu, and Avgamda was with them. Yasef Vikamri, Amemar, Mazutra, and Ravashi were saying, Marda, if Sida B'lo Yisrael Kayomin. Well, if she rebelled, she loses her garments, and she can't chap it a rein. Rav Gamda said to them, Mishum de Rav Zvid Gavarabba, just because Rav Zvid is a great person, Machnifisu le, you're sort of ruling in his favor. You're kind of kissing up to him. I don't know if that's the right word, but kilu, you're like favoring him. That's a better word. Favoritism, right? You're showing him favoritism just because he's a great person, and that's why you're saying that she can't chaparain those things. The Amar of Kana, Mibai Rave. The Rav Kana says that Rav Taka asked V'lo Pashin. He actually wasn't sure if she could chaparain the things or not. So shouldn't simply paskin in Rav Zvid's favor to show him favoritism just because he's a great person. Apparently, it's an unresolved question. Ikadam, to those who say it was punkt fakert. Yasvi v'kami, they were saying Marda lo if the blow sel kayom, that if she rebels, she does not lose these articles, and she could take them with her. Omar Luhu Rav Gamda said to them, Mishum de Rav Zvid Gavarabu Afkisu le'ledina yilove. He says, Punkt Fakir now. He says, just because Rav Zvid is a great person, and he'll be moichels on, right? And he won't, he won't mind if you paskin in favor of his daughter-in-law. So just because Rav Zvid is a great person, and he'll be moichels on, and he won't mind if you pass in his daughter-in-law's favor, so therefore memele you passel, and therefore you memele you rule in her favor just because you know that Rav Zvid won't get upset. That's not fair. Rav Kana said that Rav Taka wasn't sure if she could chaparain these articles or not. So why are you just automatically ruling in favor of the daughter? So since it's unclear if she's allowed to chap these articles or not, so if she chapped them arayin, so then we don't take it, we don't chap them back arayin. We don't chap them back arayin. Lo tafsir, she didn't chap them arayin. Lo yavinan la, we don't reverse chap arayin them to her. We don't give them to her if she didn't take them. Mashina la tresi archeshata. And then we, if she's rebelling, we give her a year, and if she's still agita, before we give a get, and if she's still rebelling 12 months later, so then they get divorced. And during these 12 months, she doesn't get mizonis from the husband when she's rebelling. Okay, friends, here you got to use your brains a little bit. Y'all got brains? Of course you have brains. Take them out. You're going to need it. Here we go. It might not be so bad. You're going to need your brains. You're going to need your brains. Go get your brains. Go get your brains and pay attention. Alright. Sorry. I'm sorry. I tried to hold in the laugh. Amr of Tuvi bar Kisna, Amr Shmuel. It says Rav Tuvi bar Kisna in the name of Shmuel. Okay. Says Rav Tuvi bar Kisna in the name of Shmuel. Kos v'nigeris mered al arusa ben kos v'nigeris mered al shemeres yavim. Oh. So if a arusa, if a betrothed girl is refusing to get married, so we write a writ of rebellion in Igeris Merid, which basically enables us to then apply the consequences of the Mishnah, which is that she'll lose 7, it's machlokas, but she'll basically lose, right? The value of her ksuba will be lowered. The value will be, I feel like lowered isn't the right word. The value will be decreased, maybe. The value of her ksuba will be decreased. Will be decreased. What was it? 7 dinars, what, a day? What was it? Oh, a week. 7 dinars a week. Rabbi says 3. 7 tarpaikin. Okay, fine. So if you have a betrothed girl who decides that she's not going to be getting married, right? She's rebelling. She's saying she's not getting married. So then we write this Igeris Merid. We write this writ of rebellion, which means that we start deducting 7 dinars. Assume like the rabbis, that we start deducting 7 dinars a week from her ksubit. However, we do not write a writ of rebellion against a shomeres yavam, right? We learned Yivamis. Sarah is married to Reuven. Reuven dies. They don't have kids. Sarah now needs to do Yibum with Shimon. If she's now deciding that she doesn't want to do Yibum with Shimon, so we do not write this Igeris Merid. Meisve, we have a kasha. Achas le'arusa v'nesua, whether it is a girl who is betrothed or married, afilu nida, even if she's a nida, afilu chola, even if she is sick, afilu shomeres yavam, or even a shomeres yavam, we write a writ of rebellion. So on the one hand, Shmuel is saying that we do not write an Igeris Merid for a shomeres yavam. On the other hand, we have a brisa which says that we do write a Igeris Merid for a shomeres yavam. So that's the kasha that we have to answer. How could Shmuel be saying that we don't by a shomeres yavam if we have a brisa that says that we do write an Igeris Merid by a shomeres yavam? Lo kasha, no problem. Kanchetova hu, kanchetova hi. Okay. So it depends who's doing the requesting. So meaning if he wants to do yibum and she is refusing, so then we write an Igeris Merid. But if she is demanding to do yibum and he is refusing, so then we do not write an Igeris Merid. That I guess would increase the value of his ksuba every week. Fine. The Amar Rav Tachlifa Bar Avimi Amar Shmuel says of Tachlifa Bar Avimi named Shmuel Tavahu Niskakin lo, that if he wants to do yibum, so then if he wants to do yibum, so then we write an Igeris Merid. Tavahi, if she wants to do yibum, ein Niskakin lo, then we do not write an Igeris Merid. Okay, fine. So b'mai ukimta lahad Shmuel k'shetavahi. Okay, which means then that we have to establish Shmuel's statement by b'shetavahi when she wants to do yibum, right? Which would mean that so Shmuel's statement that we write Igeris Merid by in Arusa, but we don't write Igeris Merid by a shomeres yavam, is talking about where she wants to do yibum, we don't write Igeris Merid. Okay, fine. We're going to end up throwing this out. So, hi kos v'Igeris Merid al arusa la arusa mi baile. But one second. If that is the case, that we're talking about where she is the one who wants to get married or do yibum, so what it would mean is that we write a Igeris Merid, a writ of rebellion on her behalf, not against her, right? Meaning if you look at what Shmuel says, he says, Kos v'Igeris Merid al arusa, vein kos v'Igeris Merid al shomeres yavam. That we write an Igeris Merid against an arusa, and we do not write an Igeris Merid against a shomeres yavam. But if we're talking about where she is the one who wants to get married or do yibum, so then what it should say is that if you have a situation where you have a betrothed girl who wants to get married and he is and he's refusing, so then it should be that we write nigeres merid on behalf of la arusa, on behalf of a arusa, not against an arusa. So lo kasha tinila arusa. So we say, don't worry about it, just change the words of Shmuel's statement to say la arusa. Okay, so kos v'nigeres merid la arusa, that if you have a betrothed girl who wants to get married and her chosin is refusing, is rebelling, so then we write a writ of rebellion on behalf of an arusa. So ma'ishna shomeres yovim delo. But then 1 second. So we write, so you have this betrothed girl who wants to get married. Her fiance is rebelling. We write a writ of rebellion on her behalf. Now how come though, when it comes to shomeres yavam, when she wants to do yibum and he doesn't, we do not write a writ of rebellion on her behalf? De amrinan la zil. Because we say to the shomeres yavam, go away, lo mifkadat, you don't have a mitzvah of purivu. Right? So we say to her, meaning she says, I want to do yibum. He says, no, he wants to do chalitza. So we say that we cannot write a writ of rebellion on her behalf, because we say, look, at the end of the day, the mitzvah of purivu is not upon you, and therefore you aren't obligated to have children, and therefore we're not going to write a writ of rebellion on your behalf. Arusa nami nemola zilo mifkadas. But if that's the rationale, then shouldn't that apply also to a betrothed girl? Right? We said that by an arusa, by a betrothed girl who wants to get married and her fiance is rebelling. So we do write a writ of rebellion on behalf of the arusa. But why? Based on the logic we just proposed, shouldn't we say we're not writing a writ of rebellion on your behalf, betrothed girl, since you don't have a mitzvah of purivu? So Ella, okay, so rather that the mitzvah route is not going to suffice. Ella, rather biva machmas tainu. Rather, she's coming with a rationale. That the reason why we write a writ of rebellion for an arusa is because, even though she doesn't have a mitzvah, but she has an argument to make, which is, I want to get married because I want to have children so that they'll take care of me when I'm older. Right? I'll be able to lean on them to walk, and they'll bury me when I die. So she says that, right, the betrothed girl is saying, I want to get married so that I'll have children who will take care of me. And that's a valid argument, and therefore we write a writ of rebellion on her behalf. But hachanami, also by shomeres yavam, biva machmas taina. But then why don't we say the same thing by a shomeres yavam, or we should say the same thing by a shomeres yavam, that she says, look, I want to do yibum because I want to have kids that will take care of me. So shouldn't we write a writ of rebellion on behalf of the shomeres yavam as well? Okay, so rather scratch all that. It's not that it depends if he's rebelling or she's rebelling. He is the one who wants to get married. Okay? So when we say kos v'nigeres merid al arusa ve'ein kos v'nigeres merid al shomeres yavam, it means against. It means on behalf of the fiance or the yavam against the arusa, right? Or the shomeres yavam. So we're saying that if he wants to get married and she is rebelling, so we write a writ of rebellion against a betrothed girl, but not against a shomeres yavam. So idi v'idi shetavahu v'lo kasha kan lachlotz v'kan liyabin. It depends what his argument is. So, when it comes to the arusa, to the betrothed girl, he wants to get married, she's rebelling, so we write a writ of refusal, of rebellion against her. Now, when it comes to Shomeres Yavam, so Shmuel had said that we do not write a writ of rebellion against her. Right, again, we retracted on what we had said before, so we're not talking about writing a writ of rebellion on her behalf. We're talking about writing a writ of rebellion against her. So Shmuel says that we do not write a writ of rebellion against a Shomeres Yavam, but the Brisa says that we do write a writ of rebellion against a Shomeres Yavam. The question is why. So it depends who's arguing what. It depends if he's arguing that he wants to do Yibum and she's saying, no, I want to do Chalitza, or if he's arguing that I want to do Chalitza and she's arguing, no way, no how, I want to do Yibum. Okay? So V'lokasha kan lachlotz v'kan liyabin. So it depends who is, right, it depends if he's making the argument to do Yibum or if he's making the argument that he wants to do Chalitza and she's making the opposite argument. To Amr Pidas, that says Reb Pidas Amr Yochanan, Tova lachlotz, that if he says, look, I want to do Chalitza, and she says, no, I want to do Yibum, Nizkakin lo. So then we write a writ of rebellion on his behalf. If he wants to do Chalitza and she wants to do Yibum, we write a writ of rebellion on his behalf against her. Tova liyabein ein Nizkakin lo. But if he wants to do Yibum and she wants to do Chalitza, then we do not write a writ of rebellion on his behalf against her if she wants to do Chalitza. So it seems like the one who does Chalitza sort of has the upper hand in a sense, right? Meaning, if he's the one who wants to do Chalitza and she wants to do Yibum, then we write a writ of rebellion against her. If he wants to do Yibum and she wants to do Chalitza, we do not write a writ of rebellion against her. Now, Ma'ishna li yabeim dilo. But now the Gemara says, I want to understand this. How come when it comes to Yibum, he says, I want to do Yibum, she says, I want to do Chalitza, we do not write a writ of rebellion against her? We say, well, meaning he says, I want to do Yibum, she says, I want to do Chalitza. We say that we do not write a writ of rebellion against her. How come? We say, I don't know, just, okay, you want to do Yibum, she doesn't. Go marry somebody else, right? You can marry more than one wife. Go marry somebody else. We're not writing a writ of rebellion. But lachlotz nami, but shouldn't we say the same thing by Chalitza as well? He says, I want to do Chalitza. She says, I want to do Yibum. We say in that case, we do write a writ of rebellion against her, but say the same thing. Ne'malei, let's say to him, Zil v'nosav itzah achrisa. We're not writing a writ of rebellion, just go marry somebody else. So Ella, de Omar, but the reason why by Chalitza, when he wants to do Chalitza and she wants to do Yibum, and we do write a writ of rebellion against her. So Ella de Omar, it's because he says, Kim da agidabi lo kaboyavu li achrise. Well, I can't just marry somebody else because since I still have the Zika with Sarah, right? I still have the Zika with this Yivama, so nobody's going to want to marry me. So therefore, if he says that I want to do Chalitza and she says, no, I want to do Yibum, he can't just marry somebody else because as long as the Zika is still around, people aren't going to want to marry him. And therefore, we write a writ of rebellion. But if that's the case, Hochanami, but then say the same thing. When he wants to do Yibum and she wants to do Chalitza, we say that we don't write a writ of rebellion against her because we say to him, just go marry somebody else. But Kevin da Agida bi, but can't you make the same argument that it'll say, I can't just go marry somebody else because since I still have a Zika, nobody's going to want to marry me. Ella, idi v'idi, shetava liyabem. No, so both cases are talking about where he wants to do Yibum and she wants to do Chalitza. V'lo kasha kan kimishna rishona, kan kimishna achrona. And it depends at what point in time this was. If this was like the initial Mishnah or like the later Mishnah, let's go weiter. The Tanan, as we learned in a Mishnah from Yevamis, mitzvahs Yibum kodemis lemitzvahs Chalitza, barishana hayu miskabel neshum mitzvah, achshav she'ein miskabel neshum mitzvah, or mitzvahs Chalitza kodemis lemitzvahs Yibum. Maybe you remember this from Masechta Yevamis, that initially preference was to do Yibum, But that was, let's read inside again. Mitzvah Yibum Kodemus Mitzvah Chalitza. Yibum is preferable to Chalitza. Barishona, initially, Shayu Miskavim L'Shum Mitzvah, that was when they would do Yibum for the sake of doing the mitzvah. But Achshav Shei Miskavim L'Shum Mitzvah, but nowadays, that the intention is not to do the mitzvah of Yibum. So Amru Mitzvah Chalitza Kodemus Mitzvah Yibum, so we say that Chalitza is the preferred route. And therefore, when the Brisa says that if he wants to do Yibum and she says, no, I want to do Chalitza, we write a writ of rebellion against her. That was initially when Yibum was preferred. Now when it says that if he wants to do Yibum and she wants to do Chalitza, we do not write a writ of rebellion against her. It's nowadays because nowadays Chalitza is actually preferred, and therefore we're not going to write a writ of rebellion against her when she wants to do Chalitza. Friends, I recommend to keep your brains out, but that for now was sort of the part where you had to have your brain handy. We are going to get to another point in just a bit where you're going to have to use your brains again. But for the meantime, we're going to chill out for a few minutes. Ad mosa yupoches v'chulei. So, okay, then we say, do we keep on decreasing the amount of the ksuba until there's nothing left? My tarpoikin. So what are tarpoikin, right? It says that we reduce 7 dinars, and according to Tanakama, Rabbi Yehuda says 7 tarpoikin. Amr of Sheshes says of Sheshes, astira, mechama astira, palga de zuzah, it's half of a zuz. Alright, so tarpoikin are half the value. I think a zuz is the same thing as a dinar. So a tarpoik is basically the half the value of a dinar. Tanya Nam Yachim, also in a Brisa like this, Rabbi Yehuda Omer says, Rabbi Yehuda Shlosha tarpoikin, 3 tarpoikin, that if he's rebelling, we add 3 tarpoikin a week. Shein Teisha Ma'in, 3 tarpoikin are 9 ma'os, ma'a v'chetz l'chol yom. So if you divide 9 by 6, so it's 1.5. So 1.5 per day. Oh, okay. Let me tell you. Fine, and it's 6 ma'a to a dinar or something. I think 3 dinar 9. Yeah. I think something like that. I don't know. I'm not like doing. I don't know what Rashi just says. What does he say? Shu sheish ma'a kesef. Yeah, 6 ma'as is 1 zuz, and then tarpaik is half of that. All right, what do you want me to tell you? Amalei Reb Chia bar Yosef l'Shmuel says Reb Chia bar Yosef to Shmuel. Ma'ishna iu de yavinon le de Shabbos, ma'ishna iu de lo yavinon lo de Shabbos. Oh, when she's rebelling, so we reduce 7. Let's say like the Tanakama, 7 dinarin a week, i.e. 1 dinar per day, including Shabbos. And when he rebels, we add 3 dinars for the week, i.e. half a dinar a day, Sunday through Friday, excluding Shabbos. How come when she's rebelling, we decrease even on Shabbos, but when he is rebelling, we do not increase the ksuba on Shabbos? So, well, when she's rebelling, so we're reducing the value of her ksuba, and reducing doesn't look like you're receiving value on Shabbos. You're reducing. Whereas when he's rebelling, the osufe komosva, that we're adding on to the value of her ksuba, michze kischa Shabbos, it looks like she's making money on Shabbos. What's the word that she is not benefiting, but that she is what's the word that she is what's the word benefit, not benefiting, when you're making money, you're I don't know. She's I don't know. Amar le Reb Chia bar Yosef Shmuel, says Reb Chia bar Yosef to Shmuel, Ma bein morid le moredes. What is the difference between a morid and a moredes? Right? How come? Right? How come when she rebels, what the heck is that word? It's not benefit. Oh, shnikes, excuse me. I think maybe the word was profiting. That she's profit. It would seem like she's profiting on Shabbos. Anyways, so now, how come when she's rebelling, it's 1 dinar per day, whereas when he rebels, it's half a dinar per day? Right? She gets punished by a dinar a day. He gets punished by half a dinar a day. So Amalei. So Shmuel says, learn out from a marketplace of harlots. Who is paying who? The men are hiring the women. The implication being that the male dependency for sexual relations is stronger. The drive is stronger than for the women, and therefore the fellow is in a more dire circumstance than the fella, and therefore when she's rebelling, we need to make the stakes twice the amount of when he is rebelling. Alternatively, when he is aroused and when he wants to have bia, so then when he is erect, it is noticeable to the outside world. But when she is feeling attraction, it isn't noticeable to the outside world, and therefore, I guess his circumstance is more dire, and therefore we up the ante by doubling her consequence. Says the Mishnah, a fellow who has his wife, he doesn't live with his wife. His wife lives somewhere else, and he gives her money and stuff. So so you shouldn't provide for her any less than 2 calves of wheat, or 4 calves of barley. Amr Rav Yosef says of Yosef, Amr Yossi, lo pasak la sorin ella Rab Yishmael. Says Rab Yossi, only Rab Yishmael talks about providing barley. Sha'yu samuch le'edom, because he was close to Edom, and apparently, the barley in Edom wasn't good, and therefore the wheat is 2 calves, but the barley is 4 calves. Okay. V'nosin lachatzi kav kitnis, and you give half a kav of beans. My niece likes beans. V'chatzi log shemen, and half a log of oil. V'kav grogris, and a kav of dried figs. Friends, it's fig season again in Shuk Machne Yehuda in Eretz Yisrael. Friends, when I grew up, I think I pointed this out in the past, when I grew up in Chutz La'aretz, figs were dried figs. Friends, dried figs are about 1% as delicious as fresh figs. There's right now, come to Eretz Yisrael, go to Shuk Machne Yehuda, buy fresh figs. They don't disappoint. They're very, very delicious. So, but this is talking about dried figs. So one kav's worth of dried figs, or one dvela, or fig rounds. Ve'im ein lo, and if he doesn't have, posik lumas and peris b'makamachas, so you can give other kinds of fruits. You can get watermelons. The watermelon Shuk Machne Yehuda, very geshmak. The mangoes right now, also very geshmak. I'm basically telling you everything I have in my fridge. Mangoes, watermelon, and figs. Of course, I always have apples. Those are the fruits in the fridge. Okay. Fine. And he gives her a bed and different kinds of mats. And he gives her a scarf for her head. And a belt for her loins. And shoes every festival, so 3 times a year, shoes. And clothing worth 50 zuz, mishana l'shana, every year. You don't buy her new clothes in the summer, and she doesn't have worn out clothes in the winter. Rather, what he does is every winter he buys her new clothing, and then she wears them out during the winter, and comes the summer, they're already worn out more, and they are lighter weight for the summer. And she can hold on to the worn out clothing and do whatever she wants with them. Nosin la ma kosef letzorka. He gives her ma'a of money for pocket change. I think that's what my great grandmother used to call it. I think my birthday, I think she would give me some pocket change, and I think that she would write me a letter, and on the letter I think it would say Master Swirly Wraps. I think that was very cool. Again, it would say Master. Very sweet that she wrote me a letter. That's very nice. I think that was my great grandmother. Yeah, we just called her Grandma. She was cool. She was pretty cool. Yeah. She was pretty chilled. Yeah. Alright, anyways. So where are we? So fine. And fine. So she gets a more of money for pocket change. And they eat together every Friday night. And if he doesn't give her pocket money, so then so then she can chaparain her Maisi Adeh. Now Rashi points out that we learned the other way, it means most her Maisi Adeh, right? So meaning he gives her pocket change, then he can chaparain what she produces above and beyond 5 selas. But if he doesn't give her the pocket money, so then she can hold on to the moser. Umayi osalo, and what is the sort of Maisi Adeh? Mishkol chamish slaim shesi biYehuda, the equivalent of, right, the value of 5 selas worth of mounting warp threads in Judah, shein eser slaim begala, which are 10 selas in the Galilee, or mishkol eser slaim shel arev biYehuda, or 10 selas worth of arev work, of woof work in Judah, which is not as difficult as warp work. Shein esim slaim begalil, which is 20 selas in Galil, because the currency was worth half as much in the Galilee. B'maisa manika, if she's nursing pochsin lami Maisi Adeh, so then her Maisi Adeh target is lower. And we provide her with more food while she's nursing. These quotas, these amounts are for poor people, but a fellow who is more, can afford more, so then he provides relative to what he can afford. Okay. Friends, I had mentioned that we're going to get to another part of the Gemara where you have to take out your brains again. So, here we are. Now, I don't know, I'm still unclear how much I'm going to dwell on this. It's pretty technical, but here we go. Get your brains out. Mani Masnisen. So who is the author of our Mishnah? What does this mean? Oy vavoy. So our Mishnah had said that he provides for her 2 calves worth of wheat. Okay, very nice of the Mishnah. Lo Reb Yochanan ben Brokav, lo Reb Shimon, and that is unlike Reb Yochanan ben Broka, nor like Reb Shimon Ditznan, as we learn in the Mishnah. V'chamashi uro. Friends, think back to Masechta Eruvin. Remember what an Eruv Tchumen is? An Eruv Tchumen is that on Shabbos you can only walk 2,000 amas in any direction from where you sort of started Shabbos. But if you want to walk 4,000 amos in one direction, you could set an Eruv Tchumen 2,000 amas away, and it'll be like in that location is where you're spending Shabbos, and then you can go an additional 2,000 amas in that direction. Now the Eruv Tchumen is enough food for 2 meals. That's what you leave there. So v'chamishi uro mazon shtei sudis, you leave for your Eruv Tchumen enough food for 2 meals. L'chol echad ve'echad for each fellow. Mizonu l'chol v'lo l'Shabbos tiv Reb Meir. Reb Meir says these meals are like weekday, right? The amount of bread that you eat at a weekday meal, not on a Shabbos meal. Reb Meir would eat more bread on Shabbos than during the week, and therefore he's saying when we're talking about the amount of bread that you have to leave there that would be considered a meal, we're talking about the amount of bread you would eat during the week, not on Shabbos, i.e. a lower amount. Rabbi Yehuda Omer l'Shabbos v'lo l'chol, whereas Rabbi Yehuda says the amount of bread that you eat on Shabbos, not the amount that you eat during the week, because Rabbi Yehuda would actually eat less bread on Shabbos because he would be eating the other maidonim. He'd be eating the other delicious delicacies that he had, and he wouldn't fill himself up on the dips. So he would actually eat less bread on Shabbos. So he says, Dafka, the amount of bread that you eat on Shabbos, which is less than you eat during the week. Both Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda are being lenient, i.e., when we say enough bread for 2 meals, we mean, what you would eat at a meal where you're not eating an insane amount of bread. For Reb Meir, that would be a weekday meal. For Reb Yehuda, that would be a Shabbos meal. Fine. Now, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka Omer, now says Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka that this bread that we're talking about is kikar ala koyach befundion, a bread that is bought for 1 pundion. So you pay 1 pundion for this loaf of bread. Me arba soyin lesela, when for 1 sela you get 4 sa'ah of like flour. Now, 1 sela is 48 pundions. Now, we're also saying that in 1 sela you get 4 sa'ah of flour. 1 sa'ah is 6 kavs, which means that 4 sa'ah, which is what you get for a sela, is 24 kavs, which means that, right, so 1 sela gets you 4 sa'ah, which is the equivalent of 1 sela getting you 24 kavs, which is also the equivalent of 1 sela getting you 48 half kavs. So for 1 sela, you get 48 half kavs. Now we're also saying that you're spending 1 pundion on a loaf of bread, and there are 48 pundions in a sela. So there are 48 half kavs in a sela. There are also 48 pundion, which is a currency in a sela, and you're buying a bread for 1 pundion. So right? So we're saying there are 48 kavs in a sela, and there are 48 pundions in a sela. So 1 pundion would be equal to half a kav, and you're buying a loaf of bread for 1 pundion. So therefore, a loaf of bread that is half a kav. And okay, so according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, he's saying that the food for a eruv is 1 loaf of bread that is purchased for a pundion, which means that it is half a kav, and it's enough for 2 sudas. Okay, so now based on that, if 1/2 of a kav is enough for 2 sudas, well then 1 whole kav is enough for 4 sudas, and the Mishnah says that the husband, right, our Mishnah says that the husband provides 2 kavs of wheat a week. So if 1 kav is 4 sudas, 2 kavs is 8 sudas. You got that? That's the important part. According to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, the 2 kavs in the Mishnah of wheat that he provides is the equivalent of 8 sudas. Now, Reb Shimon Omer says, Reb Shimon shtei yados lekikar mishalosh kikaros lekav. So whereas Reb Yochanan ben Broka said that there are 2 that you can get, he says that you get 2 meals in a half a kav, but a half a kav is 1 bread, exactly. So he says, Reb Yochanan ben Broka says that 1 kav would be 2 breads. That's right. 1 kav would be 2 breads and 4 meals. 2 kavs would be 4 breads and 8 meals. Anyways, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, 1 kav is 2 breads. According to Reb Shimon, 1 kav is 3 breads, and each bread provides 3 meals. So therefore, if each bread provides 3 meals, so by the eruv we're talking about 2/3 of 1 bread, right? If there's 3 meals in 1 loaf of bread, so 2/3 of 1 bread would be 2 meals. Now, so Reb Shimon says that in 1 kav there are 3 breads. Each bread provides 3 meals, so 1 kav is 9 meals, which means that in our Mishnah, the husband provides 2 kavs of wheat. He's basically providing 9 times 2, 18 meals. So according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, the 2 kavs of our Mishnah would be 8 meals. According to Reb Shimon, the 2 kavs of our Mishnah would yield 18 meals. Now, Chetzio Levais HaMenuga, as we've learned in the past, I think already back from Brachis, when we say this one, like, I think it's assuming like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, that when we say that in 1 bread there is 2 meals, well, half of that, i.e. 1 meal, Kedei Achilas Pras, if you stay in a house that has tsaras, for the amount of time that it takes to eat 1 meal, which is half of a loaf of bread, so then you become tameh. V'chatzi chetzio lifso sagvia, and half of that, i.e., so a quarter of a bread, which is So we assume that a loaf of bread is 8 eggs worth, and half of that, which is 1 meal, which is the amount of time you have to wait in a house with tzaras, would be 4 eggs. Half of that, which is 2 eggs worth, is that if you eat 2 eggs worth of, tamei food, I believe, so then you become tamei and you can't eat truma, you have to go to the mikveh. And then half of that, i.e. 1 egg, transfers, I believe it transfers tumas ochlin. Fine. Now, money, who is the author of our Mishnah? Yerab Yochanan ben Broka Tamnei Avion, Yerab Shimon Tamnei Srei Avion. Now, going back to the conclusions, don't worry about all the technical stuff. As I pointed out a minute ago, what comes out is that according to Yerab Yochanan ben Broka, 2 kavs is 8 meals. According to Reb Shimon, 2 kavs is 18 meals. Now, if he's providing 2 meals per day over the course of 7 days, he only needs to provide 14 meals. According to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, it comes out to 8. According to Reb Shimon, it comes out to 18. But we're looking for 14, right? 2 meals a day for 7 days is 14. So it's neither like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka who says 8, nor like Reb Shimon who says 18. The Olam Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, to which the Gemara says, really our Mishnah is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka who says 8 meals. The Amr of Chizda, and it's like Rav Chizda says, say meyen shlish lechenvani, that the storekeeper usually adds I guess essentially a 50% markup, right? A markup of a third, which means that if you're getting, if you're where am I? So here also I see tilsa shdi alayu, so then take a third and add to it. So meaning, if you buy from a store owner, so then it would be 8 meals. But if you're circumventing the store owner, if you're just looking at the actual value, so then from 1 loaf of bread, you would be able to 1 loaf of bread would be 2 meals, meaning half a kav would be 2 meals, but 1 kav is 4 meals, 2 kavs is 8 meals. But if you go, directly to the source, the actual value, 2 kav would really be 12 meals. Right? It's an additional third. So akati tate srei avim, but still, that's 12 meals. We need 14 meals. Well, the Mishnah says that they eat together on Friday night. But well, that makes sense if you say that. What does it mean that they eat together on Friday night? It means that they eat together on Friday night. But if it means that they eat together on Friday night is a euphemism for bia, well, if that's the case, well then they're not actually eating together on Friday night. So how is 12 enough? We should need 14. What can you say? Ve'od, and not only that, tleiser havyon. It's only, right, still, we would need 13, right? Meaning if it's 2 meals a day for 7 days, that's 14 meals. They're eating together on Friday night, so we need 13 meals, yet Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka seems to be saying 12 meals. So Ela Kedama Rav Chizda Tzemein Mechzul Chenvani. Rather, it's like Rav Chizda says that actually there's a 50% markup for the store owner. So Hochinami Palga Asya Palga Ushdi Alayu. So here also it's not 8, it's 16. Right? So when you don't add right, the markup isn't a third, it's half. So if you are buying from the store for 2 kavs, you would get 8 meals, but the actual value would be 16 meals. Kasha Rav Chizda, but 1 second. On the one hand, Rav Chizda said that you add a third, that the markup is a third. On the other hand, Rav Chizda is saying the markup is 50%. So lo kasha, it's no problem. Haba'asu di yaivet tzive, haba'asu di lo yaivet tzive. Well, it depends. If it's a place where they provide wood for like making fires, so then the markup is only a third. But if they don't provide wood, so then the markup is 50%. Fine. But even so, still, this is 16 meals. We need 14 meals. Kiman kirib chidka. So it's like Reb Chidka, Domer Arba Sudas, so it's a kashman. Kiman kirib chidka. Are we saying like Reb Chidka, Domer Arba Sudas Chayv Adam Lecho B'Shabbos? Or are we saying that it's like Reb Chidka, which means that actually every week she would have to have 16 meals, right? Because Sunday through Friday, 2 times 6 is 12, but then Reb Chidka says that you have to have 4 meals on Shabbos. So 12 and 4 is 16. So therefore, if it's like Reb Yochanan ben Broka, that 2 kavs is 8 meals, but that's only after the 50% markup of the store owner, but really it's 16 meals. So then it would be 12 meals for Sunday through Friday, plus another 4 for Shabbos. But afilutem Rabbanu, you can even say it's the rabbis who say that you eat 3 meals on Shabbos. Well, if there are, there's an extra meal, a 16th meal for guests and stuff. But not once already you're saying that there are extras for guests. Afilutem Reb Shimon, you can even say that it's like Reb Shimon who says 18 meals. According to the rabbis, you would add, you could say it's like Reb Shimon that it's 18, 2 kavs is 18 meals. And according to the rabbis, there are 15 meals a week, right? Sunday through Friday is 12 plus another 3 for Shabbos. And then there's an extra 3 for, right, so 15 plus 3, an extra 3 is for the guests. And according to B'chitka, who says there are 16 meals a week, so then there would be 2 extra ones for guests. Alright, friends, that was Daf Samach Dalet of Masechta Ksubis. There were like a few challenging runs over there. We had this concept of, that by a Shemeres Yavam, if she rebels, do you basically deduct the value of, reduce the value of her Ksubah? So, we say that, so Shmuel says, no, we do not, but we have Brisa that says that we do. So we say it's talking about when he wants to do Yibum and she does not. And when the Brisa says that we reduce the value of her Ksubah, it's talking about initially when we would prefer doing Yibum. But now that we prefer doing Chalitza, we do not reduce the value of the Ksubah. We then discussed regarding the rebellion of her and the rebellion of him. We say that when she rebels, we reduce 7, right, reduce every day of the week, whereas when he rebels, we don't add on Shabbos. And that is because when we add onto the Ksubah for her, it seems like she's profiting on Shabbos, whereas reducing the value of the Ksubah doesn't seem like he's profiting, because it's reducing as opposed to adding value. And then the question is, why is her sort of consequence twice the amount of his? We gave 2 answers. One, right, one is that we argue that the drive of the fellow is stronger than the drive of the fellah. Therefore, the consequence is twice as drastic. And the other one is that when, if he is not getting the sexual attention he needs, so then it will be noticeable to the outside world, whereas for her it won't. Then we get to the a Mishnah which discusses the things that the food that the husband provides for his wife, and we got into a discussion, machlokas between Reb Shimon and Reb Yochanan ben Broka about how many meals are in 2 kavs. Okay, it's a little complicated, but in the end we say it could be like either Reb Yochanan ben Broka or like Reb Shimon. Just depends kind of how you do the math, I guess. Friends, that was the Af Samach Daled Masechta Ksubis. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.